A Bangladeshi court has denied bail to prominent Hindu leader Chinmoy Krishna Das Brahmachari. He was arrested on sedition charges Monday evening and sent to prison. The incident triggered protests by community members in various locations, including capital Dhaka and the port city of Chattogram. Over in India, political parties from across the spectrum have slammed the arrest and the subsequent denial of bail. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's PTI has called off its Islamabad protests for the time being, following government crackdown. Khan's party had to stop the protests after 6 people were killed in the unrest. The party released a statement on social media's platform X, saying it is calling off the protests for now. The protests ended following a day of clashes between security forces and protesters in the city's red zone. They resulted in the party leadership's hasty retreat. The late-night retreat by the PTI leadership, including Imran Khan's wife Bushra Bibi, came after the latter was heard telling the protesters to go home, have dinner and return tomorrow. China's Defense Minister Dong Jun has been reportedly placed under investigation for corruption, becoming the latest official to fall in a sweeping crackdown on graft in the country's military. If confirmed, Dong would be the 3rd Chinese defense minister in a row to fall under investigation for corruption. A former Navy commander, he was appointed defense minister in December following the surprise ouster of predecessor Li Shangfu, just 7 months into the job. According to Beijing state media, Li was later expelled from the ruling Communist Party for offences including suspected bribery. He has not been seen in public since. A U.S.-brokered ceasefire deal between Israel and Hezbollah has come into effect at 4 a.m. local time. The deal brings a halt to the almost 14 months of Hezbollah-initiated fighting across the northern border. The agreement, which was not published ahead of the deal coming into effect, reportedly provides for a 60-day transition period. During this period, the IDF will withdraw its forces from southern Lebanon. The Lebanese army will deploy some 5,000 troops to the south of the Litani River, including at 33 posts along the border with Israel. And Hezbollah forces will leave southern Lebanon, and its military infrastructure will be dismantled. Meanwhile, dozens of Israelis thronged a major highway in Tel Aviv Tuesday night, protesting for the return of the hostages. This as the country awaits the news of a potential ceasefire in Lebanon between Israel and Hezbollah. Around 100 hostages are still being held in Gaza, at least a third of whom are believed to be dead. Most of the other hostages Hamas captured in the October 7th attack were released during a ceasefire last year. Take a look.
I'm calling all the leaders around the world and also Trump. We still got their hostages that are alive. We need to bring them all back home. Do everything to put a pressure on Netanyahu that he will do a hostage deal.
Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes hit Beirut early Wednesday hours before the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah was set to begin. The ceasefire, which began at 4 a.m. local time Wednesday, marks the first major step towards ending the region-wide unrest triggered by Hamas's attack on Israel on the 7th of October 2023. Over in the U.S., President Joe Biden has called the Israel and Hezbollah ceasefire agreement good news. Biden expressed hope that the pause will be a catalyst to also end the war in Gaza. He stressed that Israelis reserve the right to quickly resume operations in Lebanon if Hezbollah breaks the terms of the truce. He also added that the deal between Israel and Hezbollah was designed to be a permanent cessation of hostilities. Listen in.
We're determined this conflict will not be just another cycle of violence. And so the United States, with the full support of France and our other allies, has pledged to work with Israel and Lebanon to ensure that this arrangement is fully implemented, the agreement totally implemented.
Meanwhile, India has also welcomed the U.S.-brokered Lebanon ceasefire deal, saying it has always called for de-escalation, restraint, and return to the path of dialogue and diplomacy. New Delhi hopes these developments will lead to peace and stability in the wider region. A joint statement of G7 foreign ministers is set to avoid mentioning the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This comes despite an effort by the Italian hosts to find a common position on it. Italy, which currently chairs the G7, said on Monday it wanted to try to forge a common position about the ICC arrest warrant at a two-day meeting it hosted, which ended Tuesday. A draft of the final statement due to emerge from the discussions, reviewed by Reuters, does not directly name the ICC and its decision. Russia has expelled a British diplomat who worked at the embassy in Moscow. The Kremlin has accused him of spying, marking the latest blow to the two countries' worsening diplomatic relations. Russia's foreign ministry alleges that the British diplomat intentionally provided false information to enter the country as a cover for espionage work, thereby violating Russian law. Hitting back, Downing Street has denied the allegations that a British diplomat expelled from Russia was indeed a spy. Over in the U.S., Texas Governor Greg Abbott and former acting U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director Tom Homan visited the Texas-Mexico border to show appreciation to border officials and serve Thanksgiving meals. Abbott and President-elect Donald Trump's new border czar, Homan, praised the men and women of the Texas National Guard and the Department of Public Safety for their work in Eagle Pass and Edinburgh as a part of Operation Lone Star. It is Homan's first trip to the border since his appointment by Trump. He blamed the Biden administration for an immigration crisis and also vowed to fulfill Trump's planned mass deportations. And here's what the Texas governor had to say.
The cavalry is here, quite literally with us here today. And I'm proud to introduce someone who is going to lead that effort. That is the incoming border czar, Tom Homan.
Over in Chile, the prosecutor's office has launched a preliminary investigation of sexual harassment complaint against President Gabriel Boric. The news comes after the president's own lawyer revealed the contents of the accusation for events that allegedly occurred more than a decade ago. The confirmation comes shortly after Boric's lawyer issued a statement in which he said that the 38-year-old president was quote-unquote a victim of systematic harassment via email by a woman. The lawyer went on to accuse the woman sent dozens of emails that included, in addition to personal messages, several images of explicit character not requested or consented. Over in Albania, opposition lawmakers and their supporters blocked the capital's main streets for hours together on Tuesday. They are accusing the government of corruption and demanding it to be replaced by a technocratic caretaker cabinet until the 2025 parliamentary elections. Hundreds of activists blocked traffic at Tirana's main intersections, accusing the Socialist Party of Prime Minister Edi Rama of corruption, manipulating earlier elections and usurping the powers of the judiciary. Hundreds of police officers were deployed to protect government buildings and kept streets clear for traffic and preserve order. They used water guns mounted on trucks to keep protesters away from the City Hall and Wilson Square, and tear gas in at least one case. Very interestingly, a suspect wanted in the US for 2 bombings in the San Francisco area has appeared in a London courtroom Tuesday after being captured following a 20-year run from the law. 46-year-old Daniel Andreas San Diego, one of FBI's most wanted fugitives, was arrested Monday in Northern Wales. He was held in custody after the court appearance in Westminster Magistrates Court and faces extradition. Diego is charged in the US with planting 2 bombs that exploded about an hour apart on the 28th of August 2003 on the campus of a biotechnology company in California. Not only this, he is also accused of setting off another bomb at a nutritional products company in California only a month later. A museum honoring survivors of sexual violence has opened its doors in Kosovo. It has been founded by former President Atifete Yayaga, remembering the victims of the 1998-99 war in the country. Survivors of sexual violence continue to face stigmatization even 25 years after the end of the war in Kosovo. For perspective, the 1998-99 war in Kosovo, then a Serbian province, ended after a NATO military intervention that forced Serbia to withdraw its forces. The United Nations ran the territory for 9 years before Kosovo in 2008 declared independence, a move that Serbia doesn't recognize still.